The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Guess who's back? Back again. Shawnee's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Hello there, heroes! I'm the Orange Ranger, and surprise! I'm gonna be honest with you. I really actually kind of wanted to do a little series of story videos, kind of like the videos that led into Power Rangers Zeo, hinting at my comeback. But the day to do so got closer and closer, and I didn't have the time, or I didn't have the spoons, and now, here we are. This is me we're talking about, so before I get started reviewing, there are a couple of things I need to talk about. First of all, and most importantly, this does not mean that I am coming all the way back just yet. What I am committing to right now is finishing the Dino Fury reviews that I started. It just didn't sit right with me to think about leaving half a season of the show unreviewed. If I'm going to stop making videos, I really need to completely stop after Dino Fury to be at peace with it. And yes, heroes, I mean Dino Fury. I know that some of you were getting ready to say, well, Sean, Dino Fury's story is going to be continuing in Cosmic Fury, so you won't really be done. The story may not be finished, but Dino Fury would be, and I'd be okay with stopping. On the other hand, Cosmic Fury is only 10 more episodes, so we'll see when the time comes. Also, you may notice that the look of things is a little bit different. I'm back on camera, but I'm still using the handheld microphone that you saw in the Stepping Away video. Funny enough, YouTube themselves actually inspired this decision. I saw a post from them, I think it was a tweet, that was talking about the best microphone you have to make videos is the one that you own. So this is my best microphone, so I'm going to use it. I mentioned this before, I didn't really like the whole podcast mode thing, even though I understood why I was doing it at the time. I prefer to be on camera so you can see my face and see my emotions and see my reactions and etc, etc. So, for the moment, I'm back on the set with this microphone here on a little stand, and that is what we're going with. Not a lot has changed, it's the same set. You can see very little about that has changed. The main difference being that I'm back on the set, and I'm sitting down instead of standing up. So, we'll see how this goes. Don't get used to the look of things, although the last time I said that, it was the exact way things looked for a long time going forward, so there you are. Finally, I am not committing to any sort of a timetable on these videos. I currently work at a grocery store, and my schedule is all over the place. My laptop that is currently my primary computer may not be able to handle video editing. If you're seeing this, I guess it is, but it's touch and go, we'll say that much. Besides, the entire 11 episodes of the rest of this season have already been posted to Netflix, and yes, I've seen the big spoiler at the end of the season. So, it's not like I can keep these reviews timely anyway. If I were to post one review video a day between now and the end of the season, the finale will have been out for almost 2 weeks before I get around to reviewing it. And I'm not posting one video a day. Sorry. Oh, yeah, by the way, you may notice that I'm back in the old Orange Ranger Videos logo shirt. Being completely honest with you, the new logo Orange Rangers Videos shirt is too tore up from reviewing to be of any use anymore. I'm gonna have to maybe look into ordering another one, or just using this one. I don't know, we'll see. I've always liked this one a little bit better, to be honest. No offense to Gary, who designed my graphics, but I've always really liked this one, and it's got that lightning bolt right in the middle. But yes, with all of that said, let the Silver Skull sniff the air with excitement, because I'm back in the chair, and hey, I'm actually in a chair, generating reviewers' energy. There's a story that needs to be reviewed the rest of the way, and I'm the one that's gonna review it. I'm one of the ones that's gonna review it. To be perfectly honest, the first half of Dino Fury Second Era didn't really build up to a lot story-wise. The only real story note that I need to remind you of, if you haven't kept up with Dino Fury Second Era, or you haven't watched in a while and you've forgotten what went on, is that Void Knight, Tarek, Void Knight's wife, Santora, used Sporix energy to turn herself into the Void Queen, then capturing Void Knight and transforming him with the same Sporix energy into the evil Void King, just as he was allying himself with the Dino Fury Rangers. Spoilers! Neither Void Knight, Void King, or Void Queen are in this episode.
Sir, not appearing in this film.
Heroes, I'm the Orange Ranger, and let's take a look at the 12th episode of Dino Fury Second Era, Ultimate Mystery.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see all of our videos.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon so you get notified whenever we post any brand new videos.
Right you. What he said was that if you'd like to support the channel in any way financially, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos. Right you.
So, right off the bat, there's something that I want to talk about, and that's maintaining perspective. I was really hard on the last episode of Dino Fury Second Era. That was mainly because I hated it, and I explain why. But I'm making a new effort to try to remember that this iteration of Power Rangers is not written for me. There is going to be silly, I almost said a word I'm not going to try to say, silly, goofy, slapstick comedy, and I'm just going to have to accept that because of the audience. In the end, these are still my reviews. It's whether I liked it or not, and why. But as entertaining as it may have been for many people, I'm going to try to not get as angry as I once did. Cheer up, emo kid. It's a brand new cheer up, emo kid. It'll be okay. We begin with Amelia, about to interview her grandfather, Pop Pop, about his time at Area 62, just outside of Area 62. By the way, when she starts the interview, she introduces him as her Pop Pop, even though we know his name. It's Greg Jones. Anyway, Pop Pop shows up to the interview wearing a radiation suit. In fact, I think the same ones from Sledge's ship on Dino Charge, because of radiation warning signs on the outside fences. But they say that they're safe as long as they stay on that side of the fence. Skipping to the end of all this, apparently, despite Pop Pop being her grandfather, she only knew that he had worked at Area 62, not what he did there or any of the stories that he would have told. Pop Pop was a janitor at Area 62, and never saw anything supernatural. How could this happen to me? Amelia is disappointed, blah blah blah. A phone alert scares Pop Pop and makes him run into a bush of some massive blueberries, etc., etc. She's sad that she doesn't have anything supernatural for Area 62, but a phone alert of a viral video says that apparently Bigfoot has moved to California and has been sighted nearby. Over to Buzz Blast, where Amelia is pitching to Jane, changing her story from Area 62 to this Bigfoot sighting. Jane, acting like a competent boss for once, is not sold. The footage is super blurry. This could be anything. They have an eyewitness to events at Area 62. Hopefully she doesn't mean Pop Pop, because as we've established, he didn't see anything, and that is the more solid story. Amelia whines about not getting to chase Bigfoot and having to cover this moldy old army base.
Shut up! As in, close your mouth and stop talking.
Amelia, Jane is your boss. Now, I get that when you're close with your boss, friendly as these two seem to be, you can kind of try to push some buttons, get a bit informal, and try to get your way. I'd even go as far as saying that Amelia is probably more of an executive producer than just a reporter at BuzzBlast, and she could have that back and forth with Jane. But this whining from Amelia comes right after Jane slaps her hands on the table and says, "We're doing the Area 62 story." She has made her decision. Your response is, okay, we'll get that done. You want to know how you can still do your Bigfoot story? Do like you yourself did in the first episode. Get this story done, like the lipstick review, and then ask to do that story with your extra time.
Moving right along.
Jane is perhaps a bit more calm and rational than I am, telling the team, oh yeah, they're with this camera girl that kind of looks like Lily with brown hair and some guy that's producing or something, I guess, that they don't have time to start a new story from scratch, so they're just going to need to make this story buzzy. She also tells them that she believes in them. Jane really is a great, supportive boss. How soon until Amelia decides to do the Bigfoot story anyway?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, this episode is going to have one of those complicated morals, isn't it? The other two are disappointed that they got excited for nothing. Oh no, you have to do your job. How terrible for you. Amelia decides to blatantly ignore what her boss told her and to do the Bigfoot story anyway. Admittedly, this is in character for her, as they describe. It just makes me wonder how she still has a job there.
The level of incompetence in this office is staggering!
I will say that this is a pretty standard trope in fiction about journalism. The intrepid reporter ignores her editor, goes out and gets the big scoop all on her own, and is celebrated for her news-gathering instincts.
That's not how it works.
I have a degree in broadcast journalism, in case any of you didn't know that. I'm not working in the field, but I was trained on how the field works. Newspapers, news television programs, etc. are very carefully crafted puzzles. You are counting on having this story done or that story done. If it's a newspaper, you're previewing these stories in past issues. If it's a news show, you're previewing the story in past shows. Amelia's constant rebellion against what Jane is telling her to cover does not make her a go-getting reporter with her eyes on the prize. It shows that she's a bad reporter that probably wouldn't hold a job in an actual newsroom. Anyway, human plot established, on to the Ranger stuff. Solon calls Amelia to the base super urgently. Amelia having the other two look over some Bigfoot info that she got from some teacher in Harwood County. Okay, not really, but I think that could have been a nice touch. But uh-oh! After Amelia leaves, the two are looking over the info and find this article that says that Bigfoot may have built Dinohenge? Directions to Dinohenge are included, and the two... It's implied that they're interns. Amelia at one point asks them if they want to make it at BuzzBlast. Grab their gear!
That is not a good idea!
But hang on, heroes, because this is about to get a lot more interesting. Amelia was called to the base with such urgency because they're about to get a call from General Shaw of Grid Battle Force, from Beast Morphers. This confused me a little bit at first because I thought that Devin was supposed to be running Grid Battle Force, but that is actually the commander rank that Shaw had during the show. She has indeed been promoted to general. As to why she's handling this instead of Devin, the only real answer to that is that Devin's gonna need to still be the Red Ranger. Any dang way, she tells the Dino Fury Rangers that there has been a jailbreak at a Grid Battle Force facility and various monsters have escaped. Of course, there was never any indication that Grid Battle Force kept any prisoners, besides Scrozzle, I guess. We only ever saw that one jail cell, and I really saw that as more of a brig for holding disobedient officers. Maybe that was just my take on things. She is on the scene, as are the Beast Morphers Rangers themselves, fighting a monster that knocks over a white Christmas tree because it is the beautiful month of in Coral Harbor. December Fairy. December Fairy. What's really refreshing about this is that Shaw is not actually asking the Dino Fury Rangers for their help with this. It's just that she overheard one of the monsters say that they were headed for Pine Ridge to deal with the Dino Fury Rangers. Man, I thought Pine Ridge was unlucky, Javi says, but Coral Harbor has it real bad.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
Just because I said I wasn't going to say it doesn't mean that my cutaways can't say it. And I'll probably end up saying it at some point anyway. But, Javi, my dude, how about you try not talking for a while? Yes, Coral Harbor is a city that had a monster problem. They dealt with it. They have had peace, presumably up until this moment. Pine Ridge is currently the more unlucky city. Y'all are the ones currently dealing with a monster problem. It's like having a horrible 2021, and then 2022 goes pretty decently up until, say, September, and you have one bad day, and you go, geez, this year is just worse than last year. I'm already running out of transitioning out of a rant cutaways, so we're just gonna move on. It turns out I'm just as nitpicky as I was before, so let's get these ones out a little more rapid fire. Amelia says at least they can warn the city, and then they get word of an attack in the city. Amelia feels like she jinxed it, but Ollie warmly says only if you believe in jinxes. There are monsters attacking the city, this is not a time for jokes. Javi starts to ask if it's a Sporix beast or... and Ion says, whatever it is, it's going down. And then the Rangers leave. So don't bother to, find out or anything. The Rangers arrive in the park, which is a very loose definition of in the city, especially since the park seems to back onto a forest. They find a monster who doesn't actually look anything like a Sporix beast. In fact, this monster looks like Lokar if Lokar from MMPR had a body, spikes all over the place. And on his right shoulder, he's got this gold piece that's a skull, like a formed human-looking skull, with, goat horns coming out of the eyes and a chain dangling something from its mouth. It was actually really badass, and I only noticed it because I paused to look at something. Well, 7 whole minutes into the episode, let's go ahead and spoil the Bigfoot mystery. Seeing the creature walking, Amelia realizes, yeah, this is what was in the video. Izzy says that she doesn't care if this thing is the Loch Ness Monster, it picked the wrong city to terrorize. It also picked the wrong part of the city to terrorize, walking through an empty forest.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Showcasing one of the perks of doing production with a season break in mind, after the Rangers morph, we get a full roll call. It's the canned version of the roll call with the effects in the background, but it was still nice to see. I think a lot of this fight is actually original footage, although there do seem to be a few shots that were Sentai footage. I couldn't really tell. I don't remember the context enough from the Sentai footage to know, and actually I feel like it's a little bit more honest if I wait until the end to look that up. Whoever this is, they actually handle the Rangers pretty easily, blasting Izzy back, dodging or tanking most of their attacks. Zato uses the Blazing Dino key to launch a fire strike at the monster, but it's able to summon water from the ground to extinguish it. Ion uses the Electro key for an electric attack, but the monster is able to store the electricity and then discharge it into the ground with spikes. Zato goes into Dino Knight mode, going straight into his spin cycle finishing move, but the monster unleashes powerful blasts that not only stop the finishing move, but knock Zato straight back out of Dino Knight mode. Zato is down, and Izzy, for the record, never actually got back up. And it turns out that my remark about Lokar was right on the money. This is Lo Thorn, nephew of Lokar.
I was right!
This is one of the weakest. Monster is going to leave without killing the Rangers excuses that I have ever seen on this show. Earlier, when Amelia said that she had confused the monster with Bigfoot, Lothorn thought that Amelia was insulting the size of his feet. Ollie calls him an overgrown hedgehog, and he says, first his feet, now his pointiness, he doesn't have to stand here and take this. And he leaves.
What are you talking about?
They then spend, like, 15 seconds debating whether Izzy's idea of calling Lothorn a bloated sea urchin was better than Ollie's overgrown hedgehog. I'm not going to weigh in on this one, because... Returning to the base, the Rangers wonder why Lothorn seems so specifically focused on destroying them, destroying Power Rangers. Yes, Pine Ridge is apparently near Coral Harbor, but going specifically there seems unusual. Wow, this plot is actually starting to get interesting. We have nostalgia nods, we have a very difficult monster, and now there's some kind of a mystery surrounding it. Let's check in on Jane and Jayborg. No, actually, wait. Jane and Jayborg, especially this week, that's a little too close to actual plot relation. Let's check in on the interns.
Okay, but why though?
They've arrived at Dinohenge, blah blah pyramids, blah blah aliens, etc., etc. Lothorn arrives there, and of course they think Lothorn is Bigfoot. Wow. I just realized this isn't even the first time on Power Rangers that people have thought something was Bigfoot. At least in that case, Norg looked something like a primate. They start filming as Lothorn attacks the Dinohenge statues, saying his master told him that would disconnect the Rangers from the morphing grid. The two interns, who Amelia finally name drops as Stan and Annie, aw, you could even ship them as Stanny. That's what I'm calling them for the rest of this episode. What was I talking about again? Oh, right. Stanny called the hotline, and Solon notes that it's unusual to get a Ranger hotline call from Dinohenge. They use the cameras that are apparently floating over the statues. Okay, yeah, we can Star Trek handwave this and say those are sensors, to see Lothorn attacking and Stanny hiding nearby. The Rangers teleport in, with Zato already wearing the shield armor because he's read ahead in the script. Seriously, just give it a minute. Amelia teleports Stanny to safety while the others fight. Lothorn fires a beam of, well, fire, and hey! Isn't it fortunate that Zato teleported in wearing the shield armor? For a reason that is never explained at all? Amelia comes back, telling the others that Stanny are safe now. Yay. Zato tackles Lothorn and they teleport away, I think to Buzz Blast. Banter, banter, banter. The only thing really worth commenting on is Amelia saying that this guy is going right back to Grid Battle Force. Because, one, why wouldn't they just blow him up? 2, how did Grid Battle Force capture this guy in the first place? 3, Why did Grid Battle Force capture this guy in the first place?
It just raises too many questions.
Izzy calls him a cactus, and he drops some knowledge, saying he's no succulent, a type of plant that a cactus is, but then he gives me a wonderful gift. A brand new cutaway gag!
Your humor is weird and confusing!
This is actually the second cutaway gag that this show has given me after Solon. Stop asking questions and play, my boy. And I'm going to see how many times I can get away with using this without getting, like, copyright flagged or anything, content ID'd, etc. Because I have said that about the comedy on this show so many times. Then Lothorn kind of mixes his ranger metaphors a little bit. He pulls out what he calls a pocket gigantifier, gigantifier being the monster big device on Ninja Steel, and pocket gigantifier sounding like something I would see a pop-up ad for. However, it's actually the Reanimizer prop from Beast Morphers, just painted red instead of blue and with a really unexplainable gold chain attached to it. Anyway, Lothorn makes himself grow.
What a bold defiance of established trends. Sarcastic applause.
Warrior formation for the base Megazord and Ion standalone mode, although his actually made me giggle because of something that we usually hand wave. When he announces the formation of his Zord's battle mode, the Zord is still underwater with the CG background and everything. For some reason this time, I pictured him announcing that formation's completion, and then having to drive the Zord up out of the water because the monster is attacking the city. Okay guys, I'll be there in a second. Just let me, oh, excuse me, cruise liner. They keep making the big feet joke. For a monster, Lothorn's feet are not particularly big, and it's just a really painful tie to the other plot. The Rangers actually do a lot better in the Zord, scoring a lot more hits. Lothorn combines this multiple energy beam attack that I didn't really describe because who cares, into one big beam, which Ion Zord jumps out of the way to let the main Megazord take. That seems kind of cheap and cowardly, but this was actually the plan.
Hey, do you want me to kill that guy for you?
Ion attacking from above while Lothorn was blasting the other Megazord. All 6 Rangers throw their keys to summon one Zord that was not already on the battlefield as the Rangers form the Primal Megazord. The Primal Megazord. Another Bigfoot pun. Let's Sasquatch him. Which is actually kind of good, but the Bigfoot thing is stupid, so it doesn't count. Here's one they could have used that would have made sense. It's time to tweeze this thorn. I mean, it even fits with his name, with Lothorn, the thorn in the name, tweezers. Anyway, the Primal Megazord kicks Lothorn into space, and it does the blasty and the boomy.
That was easy.
Back at Buzz Blast, more pie-in-the-face gags with blueberries. The slapstick was apparently the story Stanny put together about Area 62, and Amelia says it was great. If you say so, Amelia. She apologizes to the two for pushing them to disobey Jane because Jane is their boss. And when you work somewhere, it's very important to listen to what your boss tells you to do.
Oh, good guess. Wrong, though.
No. Amelia apologizes for pushing them to disobey Jane because they could have gotten hurt. Way to fumble another moral, Dino Fury. If you insist on including them, could you at least make sure that they make some kind of sense? Okay, so anyway, now get ready for a massive tonal shift. The Rangers come by and see all of these folders about different paranormal subjects on Amelia's desk. Ollie teases her about this and asks her why she is so invested in all of this stuff.
You ever seen a ghost?
And she finally decides to tell her friends the actual truth about why. She pulls one last folder out of her desk drawer. Mom and Dad. Pop Pop told Amelia that her parents died in a house fire. There's a picture of the roof in the folder, and it looks like something exploded out of the house through the roof, but Pop Pop will not talk about the subject other than to say that they died in a house fire. Amelia says that she just knows that there has to be something more to the death of her parents. And I have to very gently disagree. I mean, not only obviously is there going to be something more to their deaths since they're spending this much time on it, but I think we know I think we know what that's going to be. But I just think tragic accidents can happen. I feel like this is a very complex and tricky and complicated message to try to give when there are sure to be children in your audience who have lost their parents. This is not to say that a children's show can't touch the idea of having a mystery involving a character's parents who died or disappeared or something like that. But just in this case, I picture this hypothetical child who's lost both of their parents in some kind of tragic accident and come to terms with that, being of the age to watch Power Rangers, for example, and then seeing the storyline and suddenly going, hey, just like the Pink Ranger, maybe something happened with my parents. Really quickly, because I know this video is already going to be pretty long, this reminds me of a story from Star Trek The Next Generation. Commander Riker is telling the story about how his mother died when he was young. He thought that he had come to terms with it, but when he started going to school, he would tell stories about his mother and not include the fact that she had died. And then he started to believe that she didn't actually die, that she had just gone away and she was coming back. His father and a school counselor got wind of this and had to sit him down and make him understand that his mother had died and she wasn't coming back. And he said that that was the day in his mind that his mother actually died. I didn't really mean for this to get so deep and serious, and I understand that this is nitpicking a single line yet again, but as I hope I've demonstrated, these lines can have very serious meanings. Anyway, the Rangers promise to help her with the mystery of her parents however they can, and it's a sweet, touching family moment. One that is immediately interrupted by a communicator beep. You see, General Shaw wants a briefing. Although I think what they meant is that she wanted to give them a briefing because she does all of the talking. She tells the Rangers that the situation with the jailbreak is now back under control thanks to the Beast Morphers Rangers, as well as the Dino Fury Rangers' efforts against Lothorn. Did she say the situation was under control? Well, mostly. Kind of. In a, not really at all kind of a way. You see, the whole jailbreak was actually designed to free one villain. Scrozzle, our favorite razzmatazzer. And it worked. And he's still free out there somewhere. And that's not even mentioning that the one who freed him is Lord Zed.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Kind of funny that Zed is actually in that gag, isn't it? Anyway, the Rangers are surprised to see that Zed is back, which really doesn't make any sense because he just kind of left before. It was pretty obvious he was coming back, and ask if Shaw can tell them any more. Shaw, who, by the way, is sadly green-screened into Grid Battle Force, so I guess that set's gone, sadly, says no, but she will keep them up to speed. Ion reminds the audience that the Green Morphin Master told him when she woke him up that he was the key to stopping Lord Zed. And that's the episode, so let's balance the scales. Episode 12, Ultimate Mystery. Pros: Hunter Dino's fantastic acting, nice Beast Morphers, crossover, and ongoing Lord Zed plot. Cons: silly B-plot, wasted monster, and 2 confusing, misstated morals. Dino Fury is back and basically picked up right where it left off. Ultimate Mystery gets 2.5 scales out of 5. Hunter Dino is one of the highlights of this adaptation, and she continues to shine. Really, this praise is specifically directed at that one scene where she tells the other Rangers about her parents, because while her performance was fine in the rest of the episode, I kind of hated her character arc in it, so whatever. In that scene, though, nearly tearing up while telling the Rangers about her parents and visibly feeling their love as they express their support for her, she really nailed it.
You guys.
Calling this a crossover is stretching that term almost to the breaking point. The two teams don't interact at all. The Dino Fury Rangers only talk to General Shaw, and she's only seen on a screen. But once again, I have to give them props in the area of they didn't have to do that at all. That could sound like backhanded praise, but think about it. Lothorn could have just been another Sporix beast that attacked Pine Ridge. They didn't need to include a tie to Beast Morphers at all, so kudos for doing so. And that leads us to the even bigger nostalgia hook, Lord Zed. I actually praise their patience waiting this long to bring Zed back. The idea of it being this long may include the hiatus between new episodes, but it's at least believable that the Rangers weren't thinking of him as an active threat. He has set his plan in motion, and even though he's just a name drop at this point, we're gonna get more Scrozzle. Bring on the razzmatazz. Well, bring on the bad stuff first. The B-plot once again did not matter at all this week, mainly used for comic relief and the delivery of a terrible moral. The entire connection to the Ranger side of the plot was, hey, that monster looks like Bigfoot, so we're gonna start looking for Bigfoot. Except that Bigfoot is a primate, and this thing was a pointy, spiky metal pile of doom. Speaking of whatever the heck I just said, this was a really wasted one and done for a monster. A really cool, tough, spiky monster that was Lokar's nephew? Lokar that destroyed Megazords? And he's just a monster of the day? It feels like most of the fight footage against this monster was original footage. If you have this suit, use it for longer than this. Maybe it was the context of his use in the Sentai, and oh yeah, I said I was gonna look that up, didn't I?
Several song-filled hours later.
So, it turns out that this was actually just a monster of the day on Ryusoldier, but it was a repaint of the costume of the final version of Lokar's Sentai counterpart. So, that's a neat little connection. And yes, I don't feel like I can say too much more about potentially telling traumatized kids that there must be some greater meaning or mystery to the death of their parents, but I feel like the primary moral of this episode was really fumbled here. In a funny sort of way, it almost feels like it was trying to kind of point towards the act your wage movement, something that I'm completely in favor of. But even that says to obey your boss by doing what's in your job description, just not going above and beyond that. Don't tell kids that they can get jobs and then just do whatever they want. I value independence, don't get me wrong, but there's a chain of command in businesses, like journalism outlets, that makes everything function. With the teases to the ongoing plot and the crossover material and all the nostalgia hooks, it feels like it's difficult to say that this was a run-of-the-mill episode of Dino Fury, but this was kind of a run-of-the-mill episode of Dino Fury. a human plot that failed to endear itself, a confusing and misstated moral of the day, a nice but not fantastic Ranger fight and Zord fight. Good enough? Let's see if we're in for better in the 13th episode of Dino Fury Second Era, Love Hate. Creative title. Ollie tries to ask Amelia out, but a miscommunication makes her think he doesn't like her. But when she realizes Lord Zed is involved, the truth comes out.
This rumor is really much talked by people, even in a person of his fans.
That is going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. I want to say really quickly that I really deeply appreciate all the support I got on my Stepping Away video. In some ways, being away from making videos helped me, but in others, I actually think it made things a little worse. So this is going to be an interesting experiment, returning to video making, but just for these 11 videos, and seeing what things improve and what things don't improve. Full disclosure, I had a lot of the things that I would say every time in a script memorized, but it's been so long since I made a video, I actually had to look back at old videos and remember how I said stuff, where in the video I said it, etc. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you hit that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. If you're looking for a way to support this channel that is not Patreon or Ko-fi, and you'd like a piece of clothing with one of my logos on it, you can check out my Teespring store at teespring.com/stores/orange-ranger-videos. And if you would like to listen to these videos on the way to work or the gym or whatever instead of watching them, you can still head over to anchor.fm/orange-ranger-audio. Heroes, it's good to be back. Until next time, may the power protect you. And it goes like this. Do 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 do. If I'm gonna do this, yeah. If you hadn't kept up with Dino Fury Second Era, throat's not used to doing this. General Shaw of Grid Battle Force from Beast Morphers from Amelia feels like she jinxes because while her performance was fine and the rest of her make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. Memorized. You can check out my Teespring store at teespring.com/orange-ranger.